Story 1. Goodfellas. Partly out of a sense of cultural obligation, partly because I owned it, and partly because I wanted to watch it.
I just watched this for the first time a couple of weeks ago, after putting it off for centuries. It was pretty good. I felt immersed in a mafia life, for sure. The acting was fantastic.
I'm gonna go get the papers. Get the papers.
Story 2. Hard-Boiled. A 90s Hong Kong cop movie, because I wanted to see a movie in theaters with my friends, and it seemed fun. Story 3. I watched Predator. Badlands. I watched it because I like sci-fi monsters fighting other sci-fi monsters, and because I liked Prey. I liked the movie. It was a good movie. Elle Fanning was great in it. Story 4. Prey. I've been on a Predator kick ever since Badlands, and I've just been watching all the films. Story 5. The Sandlot Kids. It's a childhood classic, and I've been thinking about it for a while. Story 6. Mickey 17. I kept seeing it advertised on Prime. Finally watched the trailer and decided it looked good. I really liked it. Story 7. Bergonia, because it is a film by my favorite director, Yorgos Lanthimos. Even though I totally predicted the ending, it was an amazing film.
Oh yeah, I love that guy. We watched Kinds of Kindness last weekend.
Absolutely. And I love that transgressive, inky black humor.
So, I stumbled across The Lobster a few years ago before I even knew who he was. I wasn't really sure what to make of it, except it was one of the most bizarre and compelling flicks I'd ever seen, and I loved it. Watched it again not long ago. I saw The Favorite quite a while back, again clueless about who the director was, and enjoyed that too. Very funny. I thought Poor Things was really fantastic. The entire conceit was fascinating, and Emma Stone was amazing. My actual awakening to the name Yorgos Lanthimos didn't even come about until very recently. I was reading an article about Stone and the upcoming Begonia and their unique chemistry working together. And after I could see that, I looked him up and realized he had been the genius behind all those other movies that had so blown me away. I know that's way more of an answer than you were looking for, but I might have to say my favorite so far was Poor Things. I might have to watch it again to be certain, though, because The Lobster is way up there for sure.
Story 8. Dracula. I wanted to watch a movie, found out it was playing, and I loved the story. It was good. Story 9. Beau is Afraid. My other half recommended it to me. I really cannot describe it in words. It does a great job of summing up anxiety, obsessive-compulsive disorder, narcissistic parents, paranoia. A 3-hour movie that didn't feel that long at all. Story 10. Encanto, Coco, and right now Snow White. My husband, our 2-year-old, and I are all homesick today, and they're really good.
You're all suffering physical damage, so you elected for emotional damage too? Chuckles. I hope it's a good cuddle pile.
Story 11. Have fun. Good luck. Don't die because I like Sam Rockwell and I like time travel sci-fi. Story 12. Zootopia 2. Because school was out on Monday for President's Day, and I needed a mommy-son date. Smiling. Story 13. Prometheus. I watched it yesterday because it came up on Prime, and I haven't seen every movie in the Alien universe. I didn't realize it was actually directed by Ridley Scott until I paused to learn a bit more. I like that it had strong 2001, a space odyssey vibes, but still had scary aliens to run from. I thought the overall production quality was great. Though I do find it kind of funny that only around 10 years ago, $1 trillion sounded like enough money to send a crew of humans across the galaxy. Chuckles.
I find that I like movies with some ambiguity lately. It used to be more common, and now it's like every plot mechanic needs confirmation. 2001 is my favorite movie, with Blade Runner a very close second, and there was a whole mythology behind those films because there weren't clear answers. I wonder if we just lack confidence in our own ideas more than we used to, or if arguing with strangers on the internet has increased the need to crave the ability to be right about a piece of narrative art.
I just watched that yesterday too. Although I watched it more for the sci-fi adventure theme than Aliens, and I didn't realize there might be a connection until nearly the end. It was an enjoyable watch, but it left lots of questions.
Good shot. Yeah, I'd agree. Internet arguments have something to do with it. And since so much media is available, it's easy to compare and critique. Also, imagination and real self-confidence, sadly, seem to have been shrinking over the past few decades. All could be related. You seem cool too. Chuckles, please feel welcome to send any other movie recommendations you think are worth sharing.
Story 14. Song Sung Blue, because I love Neil Diamond's music, Hugh Jackman, and Kate Hudson.
It's really good. I'm still glad I didn't pay theater prices for it, though.
Story 15. Skyfall, just a great Bond film overall. Javier Bardem kills it as the villain. Story 16. Dinner in America and The Kid Detective. The second I have a single thought about either one, I'm obligated to watch them. Story 17. Last night, I watched Big Trouble in Little China. I'd never seen it before, and that seemed like a gap in my cinema experiences. Story 18. Weapons. Mostly because I heard the hype about it, and it seemed all right from the trailers. Watched it. Mind absolutely blown. Such a crazy movie and storytelling. Deserved all the awards. Story 19. Lone Star, 1996. To be honest, I saw the poster and synopsis on 123 movie suggestions and thought it was interesting. It turned into a compelling, slow-burn mystery drama set in West Texas with the shortest Matthew McConaughey cameo ever. It reminded me how good writing paired with good acting and direction can be so compelling without jokes or bombastic action. 8 out of 10 beans in my book. Story 20. One battle after another, with everything happening. Please go watch this.
Have you seen Ari Aster's Eddington yet? If not, it can be recommended for many of the same reasons as Paul Thomas Anderson's film.
Story 21. Assassination Tango, because Robert Duvall. Dancing Argentine tango across the universe. Now, Story 22. I watched nonstop from 2014. It was pretty decent. The CGI was a bit trash, but it's worth a watch. If you've seen it, what did you think? Story 23. Good Fortune, because although I liked the actors, I thought the premise was ridiculous. Turns out to be a fantastic movie, very well written and very well performed. Story 24. The most recent movie I watched was a rewatch of the Dark Knight trilogy. It's an annual tradition during December, my birthday month. Story 25. When Evil Lurks. I've been on a horror movie kick lately. It was pretty good. Alternate title. Pedro Never Listens.
I'll look it up. Thank you. We like watching all types of horror. Usually we make fun of the bad ones the whole way through. Mystery Science Theater 3000 style. Chuckles, we watched a really bad one about alligators given a super complex drug recently. Can't remember the name. The whole time, losing it about the comments.
And also Tusk, because I'd never watched it before, and I felt it was time. Holy crap, that's all I can say. I was giggling in horror at the ridiculousness. My husband and I now imitate the main character's walrus noises.
Are you a fan of Kevin Smith? I would recommend Yoga Hosers because it is loosely based in the same world, but I can say with absolute certainty, no one has ever said the phrase, I would recommend Yoga Hosers before. It's light on the horror, but heavy on the ridiculousness.
Story 26. Sinners. Because I've been dying to see it since it came to HBO a while ago. Everything I've seen Michael B. Jordan in, he's brought it. So I knew it was going to be good. Chuckles. Story 27. Enemy, 2013. Wanted an interesting psychological movie and got one. Strong acting by Jake Gyllenhaal. Story 28. Bugonia. I hadn't seen it yet and wanted to. I wanted to like it so badly. I feel like such an outsider for not liking it. Story 29. Frankenstein, currently halfway through. I'm watching it because I've never seen anything related to Frankenstein before. Story 30. Just watched Rental Family on Hulu and Disney because anything Brendan Fraser does is worth my attention. Touching and inventive film. Story 31. Thrashin', 1986. I've been deep diving into the counterculture of skateboarding. I was looking for documentaries, but this came up in my recommended category. Stars Josh Brolin, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and there's a joust. The plot is like Romeo and Juliet, but without the death. You can see cameos of skateboarding greats. Story 32. Ernest and Celestine. A trip to Gibberland. I recently watched the first one, so I wanted to see its sequel. Story 33, The Birdcage. One of my best friends said it was her favorite, and I remember my mom and uncles liking it when it first came out. Story 34, Steven Universe. The movie, because I haven't seen it in a few years and wanted to rewatch it. Story 35. I watched Don't Look Away, because I like cheesy horror movies to kill time. Jesus fucking Christ, this movie is terrible, and not in the fun way. I felt like I was being insulted the whole time. Story 36. Josie and the Pussycats. I needed some silly nostalgia. Wolf of Wall Street. I had never seen it and wanted to see what the fuss was about. I was mostly bored, to be honest. Story 37. The Book of Life. My girlfriend wanted to watch it for Valentine's Day, so I agreed. It was actually a pretty good movie. Story 38. Blue Moon. I'm married to a musician. I had no idea who the movie was about before watching it. I've got to say, Ethan Hawke was great, but I swear if I ever ran into the real Lorenz Hart, I don't think I would have hung around. He was exhausting to listen to. Story 39. Bugonia. Because it interested me when it came out, but I barely watched it since it's on Peacock now. I wish I didn't watch it. It kind of scared me and made me anxious the rest of the day. But overall, it was interesting, especially the ending. Story 40. Big, starring Tom Hanks. I thought it was a good movie to have on while I did mundane chores around the house. It did not work out. I was constantly stopping to watch. Elizabeth Perkins is better than I remember. Story 41. Last night, I was in a romantic comedy mood, so I tossed on Failure to Launch. A classic. Then, there was a movie called Waiting in the recommended section, and I put it on because it had a lot of actors I like. Wow, that was not a good movie. I think it honestly had a lot of potential, and there were a few really good parts in it, like the wise sage Dishy, but they wasted its potential with the shock humor. Story 42. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. We've been meaning to watch it since it came out. We finally got around to it. I had to stop it at about the 40-minute mark because I had to go to work early the next day. It was a great start. I'm looking forward to finishing it. Story 43. A League of Their Own. I stumbled across its really crappy sitcom spin-off from the early 90s on YouTube, and that led me down a rabbit hole. Story 44. Arrival. I'd heard such great things, and I finally got around to renting it. Boy howdy, was it good. Going to need a rewatch in a little bit too. Story 45. Dead or Alive. I'm a sucker for movies based on fighting games, and this did not disappoint. It feels like it was made for teenage boys with how over the top it is. Story 46. Master and Commander. The Far Side of the World, 2003. One of my top 5 movies. I had the evening to myself and wanted to watch my 4K copy again while I drank an excellent port and had some toasted cheese. Story 47. Song Sung Blue. My wife and I wanted to see it. We're also from Milwaukee, where the main characters were also from. Story 48. The Help. I haven't seen it in years, and I found out my girlfriend has never seen it, so I made her watch it. I forgot how incredible that movie is. Story 49. The first Harry Potter movie. I'm stuck in a condo, and that's the only movie free to stream here. Story 50. Joe's College Road Trip. I was in bed, sick, and just wanted to put something on, and I saw it. Story 51. I just watched The Endless last night. I'd seen it before, but it was so good I wanted to watch it again. Highly recommend. Great sci-fi paranormal story with a low budget, executed perfectly. Story 52. Avatar, Fire and Ash. Watched it because, hot take incoming, I actually have enjoyed all 3 so far. Story 53. We watched Wake Up Dead Man the other night because we'd already watched the first 2 Knives Out stories. Story 54. The last movie I watched was Rushmore. I was trying to find Harold and Maude for free, but ended up watching this instead. Story 55. Crime 101 at the theater. It was the only movie playing that I wanted to see. I liked it. Story 56. Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen. It was my birthday week, I saw Transformers 1 last year, loved it, and wanted to see the live-action ones. Love them so far. Story 57. Just finished watching The Graduate from 1967 a few minutes ago. Mainly out of boredom this evening, but I do like it and can recite at least half of the movie by now. I also have the novel. Story 58. Up in the Air. I just finished watching it about an hour ago, and to my surprise, it's a pretty good movie. It was on my watch list for a long time. All I knew about the movie before watching it was that the main character is a loner who doesn't believe in love or marriage. I'm kind of like that, but I've been feeling lonely lately and thought the movie might change my mind. I thought by the end of the movie, the main character would find someone and settle down. Oh man, I couldn't be more wrong. Bro got called parenthesis. I don't usually watch drama or romance movies, but wow, overall good watch. Will recommend. Story 59. Perfect Days. I had the Lou Reed song stuck in my head and remembered I wanted to catch this movie. Story 60. Assault on Precinct 13 from 1976, because I've never seen it and I like John Carpenter. Story 61. Roundabout Midnight, 1999. I love films where the whole story takes place within a short time period, has an excellent soundtrack, neon city lights, and, spoiler alert, romantic tension that never really pushes through. The film had all those, so it's an easy 10 out of 10. Story 62. Homeward Bound, because my husband thought my 4-year-old would enjoy it. He did like it, and so did our 10-month-old cat. Chuckles. Story 63. My main source of inspiration is TikTok clips that can make every film look really exciting by isolating one cool scene. Typically, it's really disappointing to see the whole thing. These clippers are good at finding stuff that looks great for a short time. Most recently, Next, which blows laughing my ass off. Nick Cage can see 2 minutes into the future, so he needs to find an atom bomb before it goes off. Story 64. I watched the horror comedy, The Blackening, on Valentine's Day. I really enjoyed it. It's a horror movie I hadn't seen before. Story 65. The Emoji Movie, because I was bored and I wanted to remind myself that there are abominations worse than my existence. Story 66. I finally got to watch Sinners because the last person who rented the Airbnb that I rented was still signed into their Amazon Prime Video account. Story 67. The Mummy, 1999. One of my favorites from the 20th century, and it's due for a rewatch since Part 4 was announced. Story 68. Good luck, have fun, don't die. Just a random watch. And I loved it. Sam Rockwell delivered a superb performance, and it had a unique commentary on AI dependency. Story 69. Iron Lung, because my girl has been waiting for it for like 3 years, and her excitement and happiness are priceless. Story 70. Zootopia 2. I legitimately almost broke down even before watching it, because it was a memorable childhood movie and the first movie to interest me without hesitation. Story 71. I watched Strangers Chapter 3 mainly because I'd already committed to seeing the first 2 in theaters, so I felt obligated to see it through. Unfortunately, none of the films really delivered. Story 72. Predator, Badlands, because it's a Predator movie. I regret every second of that horrible movie. Judging by others, I'm an outlier with this opinion. Story 73. Predator, Badlands, 6 out of 10. Sinners, 6 out of 10. Bugonia, 8 out of 10. One Battle After Another, 9 out of 10. Story 74. The Three Musketeers, but the Mickey Mouse version. Chuckles. I was making some freebies for a concert I went to this weekend, and I needed some background noise. I wanted something that didn't require my whole attention, needed subtitles, and that I knew by heart. I ended up watching the movie and forgot to finish my freebies. Story 75. Speak No Evil, the original 2022 one. It was on my watch list and I just started watching it. I wish I had waited to watch it or known more about what was going to happen, because that ending made me ill. Story 76. The Rip. I love movies that take place over the course of one night or a few hours. Tightly paced with solid acting, not to mention a compelling story. I would go as far as to say it's probably the best movie Netflix has ever made. Story 77. How to Make a Killing. It was a surprise movie that the cinema was presenting. Pretty good. Story 78. One Battle After Another. I liked it much more than Sinners, but I did like the music. Story 79. The Super Mario Brothers. Movie 2023. I love Mario a lot, and the movie makes me happy seeing more brotherly scenes with Mario and Luigi. It's so cute. Story 80. Bone Temple. I was invested enough in the characters in 28 years later to see where the story goes. Story 81. Van Helsing, 2004. It was free with ads on YouTube, and it's been almost a decade since I've seen it. Like, legitimately, I remember watching it at one of my dorm's movie nights in college. Story 82. Not a movie, it was a series on Netflix. We watched The Sandman, one of the most interesting series I've ever seen. However, I really like weird things. Story 83. I was waiting for I, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, /I, Episode 5, to start on Sunday at 10 p.m., so at 8:30, I watched the first movie on my HBO watch list that was 90 minutes long. It was I, Bicycle Thieves, /I from 1948. Great film. A look at Rome in the 40s was worth it alone. One of those movies that makes you appreciate everyday life. Story 84. Crazy Stupid Love. I made a deal with my friend who prefers anime over movies. Over the next month and a half, I will watch 8 of her recommendations, and she will watch 4 of mine because of lack of time. She recommended Treasure Island, The Proposal, as well as Crazy Stupid Love. I recommended Watchmen, Pulp Fiction, Scream 3. She watched the first 2 at my request but stopped because of lack of time and training day. Story 85. Sorry, Baby. I was in the mood for a more realistic slice-of-life film, and this was one made by a female director I wasn't familiar with. Given its imprimatur of quality from being an A24 film, I thought I'd give it a shot and was glad I did. Story 86. Tropic Thunder. Because of Robert Downey Jr.'s Oscar nomination-worthy save when asked about reading the script. Story 87. To Kill a Mockingbird, because I have no idea why, and it was literally the day Robert Duvall died. Weird. Story 88. Pippi Longstocking, 1997. I came across it on Tubi and wanted to show my son a movie I liked when I was around his age. He didn't care. Story 89. Godzilla 1998. Because I forgot the good, the bad, and the ugly, as well as the initial hype surrounding its initial theatrical release. It was presented as the ultimate summer movie back in 1998. Story 90. Iron Lung. I loved watching people play the game, and I've been relatively invested in its creation. Story 91. When Harry Met Sally. It was on HBO Max, and I was just looking for something casual. So good. I watched it 3 more times that weekend. Story 92. Tender Mercies. I've always liked Robert Duvall and wanted to see his Academy Award-winning role for Best Actor that launched his career back in 1982. Story 93. Cash Truck MIT Jason Statham. Hab ich gestern geschaut. Echt ein spannender Film. Kann ich nur empfehlen. Story 94. Black Widow. Why? Because I've seen clips of Yelena, and I think she's hilarious. The movie confirmed she's way more entertaining than the clips I saw. Story 95. Avatar. Fire and Ash. I need to watch it because I need to complete all 3 Avatar movies. Story 96. I watched Old Boy with my sister because I've been meaning to watch it for so long. Story 97. Attack on London Hunting the 7-7 Bombers. I watched it because it was an immensely poignant part of my childhood, and I remember it vividly. I would recommend it to literally anyone, but especially Brits, whether they remember it or not. It hit so close to home, and I cried a good few times. They did a fantastic job with it. Story 98. The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. A close friend and I were at her house, and we were in the mood to watch the original Mummy movie. We loaded it up and had a blast, laughing and talking about the movie while watching it, and we even ended up loading up another one. Couldn't ask for a better thing to do. Value your time with those closest to you, even if it's a simple, lazy afternoon with a movie. Those are the best times of your life, the ones you don't realize you'll remember for a long time. Story 99. Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one. Me, my mom, my brother, and his fiancée watched it on Boxing Day when we had our family Christmas dinner and gift exchange. Story 100. The Untouchables have to gain some faith in the future, looking at how corrupted the society I'm living in is. Story 101. Song Sung Blue, because the trailer was good. As it turns out, it was the best movie I've seen in a very long time. Story 102. Interstellar, because I kept seeing clips of the message scene, and I wanted the full emotional hit again. It lands even harder now than it did the first time.